Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. This is Gabby. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm happy to be making a video for you today. So this video is actually going to be a Q&A video where I basically just went through my comment section of old videos and looked for questions that you all had, and I also asked my Instagram family to drop me some questions they had for this video as well. If you're not following me on Instagram, definitely make sure to do that. Instagram name is Mind Your Society, just like my YouTube page. I thought this would be a great way for me to just touch base with you all because I haven't made a video in quite some time. I've just been really busy with work, end of the year wrap up stuff, and I also recently got engaged. That's super exciting, but of course the planning that happens after getting engaged can be a little bit stressful. So with all that being said, I've been super busy, haven't been able to touch base with you all in a while, so I'm happy to be back today. And I think a Q&A video is a great way for me to just get back in touch with everyone. So I'm gonna be reading the questions off of my phone. One comment that was made says, I love learning from you and I am entering my Bachelor's of Social Work program in the fall of 2022. I'm excited to enter the career. Any advice as I enter my program? Okay, this is a great question. So for anyone who is about to enter their Bachelor's of Social Work program, first I want to say that it is no rush to know exactly what you want to do in social work. You have a lot of time. You have 4 years to really get to know the field better, take advantage of different internship opportunities that will allow you to learn what the field has to offer. So my advice is to just breathe and know that you don't have to have all the answers about your career right now. And also take advantage of any opportunities you have, as I mentioned, to do an internship program. I know often for Bachelor's of Social Work programs, you have a mandatory internship part for your last year, but if you can get volunteer experience or internship experience leading up to that last year, just to have more under your belt and things that you can put on your resume, I think that's going to be super helpful. So get that experience, build relationships with your classmates as well as your professors, because they will be a part of your network, and for different opportunities you may need your professor to vouch for you, write a letter of recommendation. And you may not realize this now, but the same people that you're sitting next to in your classes can be the same folks who are getting you some jobs in the future, connecting you with employers that can hire you, connecting you with internship opportunities that maybe you haven't heard of. So build those networks and grow healthily together with your classmates, grow those relationships. And not saying that you have to be best friends with all of your classmates, but I think it's good to have at least a working relationship with folks, just so you can start building that network early, because I always talk about the importance of having that network. So the earlier you can start getting to know folks who are in your career, interested in the same things you are, the better. Another piece of advice I would give you is to make sure that you're getting involved in different extracurricular, I can't even say that word, extracurricular activities, because that's going to once again give you that exposure to networking with a bunch of people outside of your specific program as well. And it also helps with building that social aspect in college. I think it's really important, and it helps you to enjoy the college experience even more. It makes the college experience so much more enjoyable. I remember my first semester in undergrad, I wasn't very happy. I didn't really enjoy the experience that much, but once I started getting to know people and joining different clubs and different organizations, my experience got so much better. I'm not sure what your age group is or what stage in life you're in, but if you are on the younger side and you're completely new to college and maybe you're going to be living on campus, I think it's even more important to get those extracurricular activities. And sometimes if you are a non-traditional college student, you may feel that you don't need that. Let's say you're married or you have kids and you just have like your own life going on, but even in those situations, it's still beneficial to get involved in something on your campus, even if it's just one organization. Okay, so I hope that helps. Congratulations, and I'm wishing you the best on your first year in your Bachelor's of Social Work program. Okay, so this is a really great question. Someone asked, what is the difference between medical, psychiatric, and clinical social work? Great question. Often these terms are used interchangeably. So let me break down what my understanding of these terms are. Medical versus psychiatric. Let's talk about that first. So if you are focusing on psychiatric social work, or you're taking a class in psychiatric social work, that's probably going to prepare you to work in some kind of psychiatric hospital, whether that's inpatient or outpatient. So you're specifically being trained in learning how to work with people who have pretty advanced mental illnesses or behavioral health challenges, and you would be preparing to work for some kind of psychiatric unit. Medical social work, that's a little bit more broad, right? You're not just working with folks who have illnesses of the mind, but illnesses in general. So that could be a mental illness, a psychological illness, or a physical illness. So if you study medical social work, you're preparing to work in some kind of hospital or doctor's office kind of environment, right? So medical social workers are those individuals who provide case management, short-term counseling or therapy for folks who have some kind of illness, whether that's physical or mental, because when someone goes through that, they can really need that extra support just to know how to deal with everything, because often it's a shock and it's traumatic. It's a traumatic experience to go from being in one stage of your health to a complete and extreme difference, right? Like if you get in a car accident or you're diagnosed with some terminal disease or illness, it's a lot on you physically and mentally. So medical social workers are there to support individuals and their family members who may be going through different medical challenges. And this person also wanted to know what's the difference between clinical social work compared to medical and psychiatric social work. Now, clinical social work is really a catch-all phrase. It's like an umbrella term that's used to kind of cover a vast array of social workers who are trained to provide clinical or therapeutic techniques to clients one-on-one. So if you are a medical social worker, you're probably also a clinical social worker. If you are a psychiatric social worker, you're probably also a clinical social worker. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so a question that I received under one of my videos, it says, thank you for this wonderful video. Do you know if you need more education beyond an LCSW to be a school social worker? Once again, great question. So to be a school social worker, first I want to say that all of the laws are different depending on what state that you live in. So you definitely want to go to the licensing board in your state to learn more. Typically, if you want to be a school social worker, you are going to have to get some kind of school social work certification, and leading up to that, you will need to take certain classes and typically pass a test that will allow you to be approved as a school social worker. Now, school social work is a clinical track in social work, so even though it's specialized, it's still clinical social work. So your long-term goal should be to get your LCSW. Now you can start your journey of becoming a school social worker, getting that experience, but you should be on the track to getting your LCSW. So on top of getting your LCSW, you will need to take specialized classes, get specialized training, which most likely will include the field placement training that you get in your master's program. So next question, can you give helpful information on how to choose an online school to pursue a master's in social work? So online schools are becoming more popular, I think, even now after the Panini Press happened. So people are interested in online schools as a non-traditional and more flexible way of getting their education. Totally makes sense. I would choose an online school the same way I would choose a typical or traditional in-person school. So I would check and see what their rankings are online. You can get these rankings on websites like usnews.com, for example. There's other ones out there if you Google it, but I would also do research on the faculty and see if any of the faculty members have a specialization or a research area that you're interested in, because if you do, then you know that you would be able to connect with that faculty member throughout your master's program and maybe do some kind of independent study with them overseeing your research or your project. And also you just want to check and make sure that the faculty member seem like folks that you'd want to spend the next 2 years of your life with. Do they seem interesting? Do they seem like they have strong backgrounds? You know, what is their research background? What is their own educational background and their work experience? I personally did this research before I chose my school. Another way you can choose an online school that is best for you is by looking into the different scholarship or funding opportunities that exist at those specific schools. Now, I was a first generation college student, so the funding aspect was pretty important for me. I applied for several schools, but I ended up ultimately going with one that could help me the most financially. So make sure to do research, talk to the financial aid team at whatever school you're interested in, and see what kind of funding exists at that school for a student with your particular profile and background. Those are some of the main ways I would choose a school or an MSW program, whether it's online or in person. Hopefully that helps. Okay, so next question. I'm finishing school at the end of this year. I'm pursuing a diploma in social work and community development. Would you mind sharing sites where one can get social work jobs? So really great question. A few that I will mention is a site called idealist.org. I talk about this site quite a lot. I think this is a great resource because it has a lot of nonprofit and social change, social impact kind of jobs. It may not be all social work, but it's a great place to start and just see what's out there. And also the typical, places to look for a job, monster.com, indeed.com, whatever is just a generally good website to find a job is probably also going to work for you when it comes to finding a social work job. And LinkedIn over the past few years have really become a great place to go to find jobs in social work and otherwise. And what's cool about that is, of course, when you have a LinkedIn profile, you list out your experience and different qualifications. And LinkedIn from the back end, they have like a algorithm that basically recommends you jobs that align with what your experience is that you listed on your LinkedIn profile. So super great way to find jobs. And once you make a LinkedIn account, you'll get recommendations on jobs that they think would be a good fit. Also, if you are new in your field, I always talk about fellowship programs. So profellows.com is a great way to find an entry level or fellowship, 1-year placement that can really, be a launch pad for your career. Fellowships are typically a bit lower paid than jobs, but you make up for the money lost by that networking opportunity and that continuing education piece that fellowships often are accompanied by. So I hope this helps. And if anyone has any recommendations that they have used in the past, please drop them below. Okay, so another question. Wonderful video. I am a transfer student. I am looking into the perfect school for social work. Do you have any recommendations? So first, I want to say that there is no perfect school for social work. There's no perfect school in general. There's always going to be something about the school that isn't the ideal situation or isn't most aligned with what you want, because schools, they're ran by people and the classes are administered by people, your professors, your faculty members, and they're sometimes not going to be totally aligned with you and what your needs are. So I'll say that to make a point of reminder to you that when you are in your program, you have to communicate what your needs are. So with your guidance counselor and your professors, because if you don't open up about how your needs may not be met, then there's really no making your situation better. Thinking back on my friends who also received an MSW and went to different schools, and thinking back on my situation, there were times when a class curriculum or a teaching style didn't totally align with what I thought was best for me and my learning style. For those situations, I would take advantage of the office hours of my professors and make sure that I made that clear so that they could help me to tailor the information to me. So take advantage of those office hours. I know I'm going a little bit on a tangent, but I really just want to stress the importance of remembering that no school is going to be perfect. And even if you do apply and get accepted into the perfect school, there's still going to be challenges. So the different tips that I just gave will hopefully help you with that. Finding the perfect school, it's different for everyone. Everyone has different needs. First, take that moment to try to figure out exactly what you want to get out of your MSW program. Do some self-reflection work. Answer the questions, why am I interested in getting an MSW? What skills am I interested in getting from an MSW program? Skills that I don't currently have already. And what outcome would make it to where I feel I received a strong return on my financial investment? Because masters of social work programs are expensive. All grad school programs are expensive. So it's important for you to ask that question. So once you get these questions answered, it will be easier for you to find the perfect school, so to speak, or in other words, the school that is the best fit for you. I think the answer that I gave about finding the perfect online school also pertains here as well. So doing the research on the faculty members, doing research on the ranking and where your school falls in the ranking list. It doesn't have to be the top 10 schools or even the top 25. You know, we can rank in the top 50 or even, you know, the top 75. But at the end of the day, you know what's best for you, and maybe a top ranking school isn't exactly what you need. Maybe what's most important is for you to have a school that is in your current location or in your current city, because you're not as flexible and you can't move around. Everybody's needs are different. So really sit down and ask yourself what you need out of a school. And then once you have that answer, try to find a school that best fits your needs. But that self-reflection piece is very important. Okay, so another question that I received. So this person said, I graduated from the school service worker diploma program, and after graduating, I worked in retail for some personal reasons, but now I want to follow my passion. They want my suggestion on how they can get back into the field after a 2.5 year long gap. Great question. So there may be other people out there who have taken a gap from social work and they just don't know if it's too late to get back in it, or maybe they don't know the steps they can take to get back in the field. I would say that first of all, taking a gap is totally okay. Most people are going to take a gap for some amount of time throughout their career. I mean, careers are very long. People start their career in their early 20s and, you know, retire in their 60s. So of course, in that big gap of time, you're probably going to take some time off, whether it's just 6 months or, you know, several years at a time. So it's totally okay. It's normal. Don't beat yourself up for that. 2.5 years is not really that long of a time frame. What you want to do is get some volunteer experience, even if it's just a few hours a week in the social work area that is most interesting for you. So I think you mentioned youth work or youth service work, getting some volunteer experience there. And I always talk about fellowship programs, so that is another option. So I think fellowship programs are good as entry-level jobs for folks who don't have a lot of experience, but it's also really good for those who have taken a time away from their career and they're trying to get back in it. Reaching out to your college and seeing if you can talk to someone who works in alumni services and asking them if they have a job board, or if they can even put you in contact with a guidance counselor or a career coach who can, you know, help you revamp your resume, determine exactly what type of position you want, and also can, you know, connect you with certain positions or connect you with the job portal of, you know, your university. That's a great resource that I don't think enough people tap into, but that's what the alumni service team is for at universities. So definitely reach back out and see how you can get plugged in. It's just important for you to start, you know, building your network. It's important for you to start putting your name out there getting to know people. And yeah, take baby steps, start slow, start with some volunteer experience. And doing this is also going to be helpful because it will make you more confident and more ready to, you know, actually go out and start applying for full-time social work jobs. But you have that degree. Now it's all about finding little ways to get plugged back in. So good luck. All right, you all. So those are the main questions that I'm going to answer in today's video. If you would like your question to be featured in a future Q&A video, make sure you follow me on Instagram because that's where I ask you guys to submit questions to me. I hope you all have a fantastic holiday season, and I'm wishing you and your loved ones well. So talk to you all in my next video. Bye bye.